In the late 19th century, in the bustling city of Springfield, Massachusetts, there was a young and inventive teacher named James Naismith.
Hello.
Tasked with creating a new indoor game for his students during the winter months, Naismith wanted something that would keep his students active and engaged. Naismith had a problem. The gym was too small for football, and the kids always got hurt playing football. He needed a game that was both vigorous and safe, so he pondered over what to do. One day, Naismith had a flash of inspiration. He remembered in his childhood how kids used to throw stones at targets. What if he could create a game that involved throwing a ball into a target, but in a way that was structured and strategic? He decided to use 2 peach baskets as goals. Hanging them high on the gymnasium walls, he set out to create a new sport. He wrote down 13 simple rules, making sure to include elements of skill and teamwork. With a soccer ball as their new ball, his students took to the court. The game was fast-paced, requiring players to pass, dribble, and shoot. Naismith's inventive activity soon found its way into other schools and towns, growing in complexity and excitement with each new adaptation. The peach baskets were eventually replaced by metal hoops with nets, and it became a global phenomenon. From that small gym in Springfield, basketball was born, forever changing the way people play and watch sports. What began as a creative solution to a winter dilemma became a beloved pastime, inspiring millions around the globe to dribble, shoot, and score.
I'm gonna guard you. I'm gonna guard you. No, let me by.
Now, just about every major sport has an interesting story and evolution, and most actually predate solid, reliable historical recording, which means there are details in the origin stories that are buried with the people who were lucky and pioneering enough to help develop a sport. Our little notch in the historical timeline is tough. Sometimes it's bleak, and in the grand scale of things, impossibly brief. But there's something that we have that nobody else in history can have in quite the same way. We get to develop ninja as an organized sport. Each year, the leagues, gyms, and organizers present with new technology to push the limits on what they can offer to athletes. The unique arms race between what course designers can create and what athletes are capable of is one of the most imaginative, interesting, and tightly fought battles in sports. It's an arms race that many of us have participated in, and on an even more confusing note, it's an arms race in where we wholeheartedly supply both sides. Every time a course designer develops a new obstacle or aligns materials in a way that virtually forces people into a certain position and posture within space, the participants at large understand something critical. If there is a skill attached to this new movement concept, then in a wave of athletic synchrony, they're going to learn it, they're going to master it, and then they're going to evolve it. 4 of us travel the country for a significant portion of the year and help facilitate and live stream a season of events for the most capable ninjas on the planet. These are people with the ability to move through space in a way that you've never seen, on equipment dreamt up and built by the most brilliant minds in the industry. Who are these 4 fine fellows who make their way across the country? Chris DeGangi, a former ninja warrior with a track record as long as his legs. He's competed on the big stage more times than most of the sport. Chris is one of the sharpest people you'll ever meet. In the unexplainably large list of tasks, skills, and problem solving it takes to do what the team does, Chris has a tenuous grasp on each element. He's responsible for setting up the stream in a new location using software that he developed while helping maintain the cameras, while commentating, while tackling background issues too complicated to even explain. Chris and a handsome fellow named Ethan Swanson are the founders of Ninja Sport Network. Ethan Swanson has a love for ninja paralleled by exactly 0 people. His love for ninja is only rivaled by his intense propensity for detail, which makes him possibly the greatest obstacle judge and competition facilitator, full stop. The endurance this man has and his eye for fairness and structure extends beyond what most people can prepare for. His credentials as a competitive ninja place him in the tier with some of the greatest to ever compete in obstacle courses. The bassy, rich tone that serves as the voice of Ninja Sport Network belongs to one of the true legends of Ninja Warrior. The man with the beard, the abundance of love and drive, not only to keep the sport alive, but to make it flourish, hardly needs an introduction. He was competing on the big stage while some of the current world's best weren't in the world at all. His name is Ryan Stratus. His position as one of the best to ever compete makes him largely known as the best voice to accompany the athletes on your screen. And then there's me. My name's Hunter. Through much of this, you'll see what I see. You'll almost always see what I see. This is a narrative you didn't ask for, from the people you didn't expect, in a sport that most barely know. Will you learn something? Probably. Will it be biased? Certainly. Will it be honest? It's going to be honest as 5:30 a.m. in the airport. This is the day before the season really begins, and I'm going to get on a big old airplane to North Carolina. Dangerously sleep deprived, mentally vacant, and emotionally blank. Eventually it will be my turn to get on the plane, and then off the plane, then down to the baggage claim, and then for my absolute favorite part of each event, meeting up with my buddies and reminding them why they can only really handle me for one season of the year. I cheat on the weekends. That's my relationship philosophy too, right, DeGanji? Our God is an awesome God! After I talk them into not letting me starve to death, we arrive on location and fall into our battle stations. The strange mesh of tasks we're each responsible for are intricately intertwined. The nucleus of the intertwining is the first and largest course the athletes will run. This is the hybrid. The athletes will run up to 4 courses in an NSC competition. The youth event is slightly different from the norm, but this is a one-off event for now. Hopefully that changes in the future. I won't bore you with lens choice, gear lists, camera types, etc., but in essence, I put the cameras together and antagonize Chris DeGanji until I feel like he's sick of me. I'm set. DeGanji's not set.
I'm gonna send Hunter photos of the. Right now, I'm gonna send
Lower
Hunter
half of his
photos of not
The
that.
lower half of his body.
We're gonna send.
Then I decide on how to structure the intro video for the stream that generally serve as a miniature story and location for the setup. DeGanji and Strat nearly immediately sew cables into the underbelly of the gym, supplying wired internet and HDMI feeds to receivers that communicate with the cameras, blah blah blah, technical stuff. Swan snags the course designers and gets to work dissecting the obstacles at a rough, then more fine-tuned, then laser-focused, surgical level. Course design is one of the most fascinating, new, creative, and imaginative crafts of our time. Biased opinion? Yep. Is it accurate? Accurate as. For the next many, many hours, we pick away at checking boxes that underline each of our responsibilities. We have done this for years now, and each of us have really played each role as far as being the competitor, running and designing courses, and now facilitating massive competitions at other gyms. With that said, there is still a mounting excitement as the setup matures. After the individual obstacles go through a few rounds of initial structural tests, and the main course is mainly set, the full testing really begins. And this will go on and on and on. Each obstacle is analyzed by everyone in the room during the test runs, as well as taking into consideration factors that are so difficult to measure and nearly as difficult to explain. The ability of the athlete, their specific skill set on specific obstacle types, down to whether or not that athlete is having a good or bad day, and the ability to recognize that, and to what degree, and how to modify an obstacle commensurate with the above data, and how that influences the rest of the course. The mind-shattering intricacy and thought that goes into the development of a well-crafted and well-run course is criminally underrated and lives in the enormous shadow of the event itself. Sometimes the answer is as simple as moving a dismount platform around a corner.
And then just go here and come over this way.
What if we just put this right there? You're not going to stick out.
To avoid a potential beta break, and sometimes the answer is to scrap an obstacle altogether if it can't cooperate with the rest of the course. I can talk about this for a lot longer than you can listen about this, I promise. As the night chugs along, I make sure to get DeGanji at least thinking about food.
Probably won't eat.
Right? Was that a fair assessment?
You wanted to eat?
Nah.
Chili's, man. Yeah. Are you tired yet?
More pre-planning, practicing logistics, rehearsal, and eventually a rules video. The second we hit record on the rules video, a very interesting feeling permeates us all. There's an excitement to be at this stage of the development, but also a looming nervousness that we may have missed something. Particularly because there are multiple courses in these events, each with dozens of rules on various new equipment, and the intensity of the operation significantly is magnified by the fact that some of the obstacles are brand new ideas, freshly built for each competition. There's no way to catch every potential inadequacy, but There is value in accepting that we have exhausted the utility of overthinking and splitting hairs, and recognizing the most logical step is to record the rules video. Ethan. It's another day, comrades. It's another day, comrades. Are we switching our team name to the Comrades? Day one of the competition. Have you ever competed? Well, maybe this will make sense as a competitor, or if you grew up with sports or somehow in the performance world. You can feel the buzz of nervousness and excitement in the air. It gradually amplifies throughout the morning as we get our equipment ready and start plugging in fresh batteries and sound checks and internet checks. Just as the murmuring buzz of the crowd festers into chatter, something magical happens. In a dance that we have danced many times before, the event comes alive. The cameras come on. Stratus and DeGangi pull chairs into an equipment-riddled table. The competitors and coaches congregate around a beckoning Swanson as he steps gracefully into a rules oration. The intro video begins to play, and we go live.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome
The
to
sleep
Rehearsal.
deprivation,
We are here for
sore muscles,
Championship
destroyed lower back,
2024.
and professional
We are
anxiety
starting things off with
has
the
nothing
11-year-old
on the feeling of going in with a highly specialized, small, dedicated team. The first rounds of the Youth Championship were what you would expect out of Rock Solid and NSC. Exciting, powerful, and really, really fun to watch. Not only were the obstacles creative, but the crowd was high energy, and the teams all showed up to play ball in a very real way. The second age group was up after a quick lunch break, and it was more of the same with a slightly more difficult course and slightly bigger, more experienced athletes. This age division at their current maximum ability would mop the floor with the ninjas of our generation. After day one stream wrapped up, the building vacated as if the athletes were vacuumed out.
Yeah, that cleared out fast. The parents
Top
were
10 boys,
retired.
top 10 girls from each age division advance to day 2, where they will run a modified variation of the courses they ran on day 1. In addition to a grueling burnout course, this course is unique in that the athletes do not drop down from the components once they begin, is nearly impossible, and pushes the limits of human grip endurance. The day was capped off with conversations about which modifications to make for day 2 based on the data gathered from day 1 of competing. The little harassment of DeGangi completes my day, and deep down, I know it completes his too.
He's a big tall boy. There's a big tall boy up there. He's a big boy.
Just like the day ended, the next day began, pestering DeGangi.
They don't call us Mr. Boys for nothing.
Good morning, Mr. Boys.
Day 2, and there are 40 athletes remaining. All will run all courses. The final checks and decisions get hashed out with fresh minds in the morning, such as where to judge from, the best vantage point for judging for tricky calls, where the cameras will be, and where the resetters will stand between resetting. All positions are absolutely critical, and the coordination between the crew from different tasks is nothing short of outstanding. The boys had me take over the social media, so I captured a ton of footage on my cameras internally to chop up for social content, so I categorized it immediately before tearing apart rigs. Wrapping up equipment and saying our goodbyes after a competition is never a quick process. It only becomes more and more extended the longer and more closely we get to know each gym.
Appreciate everything you guys do.
Yo, it was $55 Uber from
I'm stoked with how everything turned out.
I don't think there could have been a better hybrid course. Like, that might have been our
Just
best
talking
hybrid.
about it.
Yeah.
It's like
yes,
reinvigorating,
thank you
dude.
for
It's like
great
reinvigorating for the ninja season to come here.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Not to mention we're easily distracted. The final challenge of the event is how to Tetris our equipment into the smallest rental vehicle that DeGangi can find and still have it technically fit. This is a consistent part of our adventures, and it makes me believe he actually has a phobia of minivans, or at least like mid-sized SUVs. The goodbye to the boys was heartfelt but brief, as we'll spend an entire season with each other, perfecting our craft and helping the best on the planet have a league that is truly their own. A perfect storm had to occur for us to be together in the roles that we are in. All 4 of us attacked the same dream for years and years. And as we enter a time in our lives where professional stability has outgrappled a rope climb, we have taken our acquired wisdom and puzzled ourselves into a small unit with a common goal. We saw the writing on the wall years ago when Ninja became a youth sport at the highest level. I never felt ill will when they started winning competitions and dethroning the greats of our time. It was inspiring that we were inspiring. We came from a completely different time, and now I coach athletes who were born years after the sport even grew into relevance. We didn't grow up with Ninja, Ninja grew up with us. We helped raise it, and it's under constant maintenance and development. I would like to think there will be a day when it's widely recognized as a sport and funded rather than gym owners scraping by to offer what we didn't have to a growing population who doesn't know what they aren't missing. An inventive man in Springfield brought the role basketball and the world never looked back. As season 4 of the most competitive Ninja series begins with a bang, we hope you tune into our little section in history.
We gotta start breaking down and we gotta start getting prepped for season 4, baby. We got more stuff coming y'all's way in a couple of months. Thank y'all so much. It's been a blast all season long to be here alongside all the athletes and spectators. Thank you so much, folks. I'm Ryan Stratus.
And I'm Chris Ganji. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning into our streams, our entire audience. Thank you so much to our camera operator.